Every day, we run just to stay alive. But what if survival wasn't the price of existence? What if the floor held, and rising was finally your choice? Hello there, and welcome to Arcadia Founder. My name is Zach, and I am the founder of Arcadia. Today's video is going to be a bit more personal and less scripted, although it will be following a general script. I'll be inserting my own personal lines here and there. Arcadia is all about surviving together, yet being able to rise alone, giving both structure and freedom. Arcadia collectivizes survival, meaning that it's a collective responsibility to survive. Whereas anything you build above that collective survival baseline is all up to you and it's yours alone, meaning that if you wish to, you can share what you build, but it's up to you to do so. What if survival wasn't a hustle? In a world of abundance, why do so many still feel like they're drowning, just trying to breathe? This isn't about utopia, it's about reframing what we owe each other as people. If survival wasn't a hustle, at least personally for me, I believe I could pursue a lot more personal side projects and afford to fail more often so that I could learn more as a person. Failure isn't something that we should run away from screaming, just because if we fail, that means the end of our life. No. Of course, for more existential problems, that should be the fear that people have, and they should fear, I don't know, failing to make that jump across a chasm and then falling to their death. They should fear that. But you shouldn't fear to say the wrong thing online and then suddenly not have a life. Or you shouldn't fear screwing up at work and being out of a home in a week. You shouldn't fear your fellow man just because they have a different political ideology from you. The exhaustion of modern life is everywhere. Burnout isn't rare, it's normal. Survival has become a full-time job, not a given. And I believe that that is so backwards, and it puts us closer to monkeys than we would like to admit. Just like the famous poet Maya Angelou said, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style." We talk about thriving as if it's a luxury, but it shouldn't be. Too often than not, even the most capable people spend their lives just trying to get back to zero. Living in luxury shouldn't be a luxury. It shouldn't be blatantly rare. We should be able to live our lives the way we please. But in doing so, we also need to uphold our societal standards. Everyone should have a basic foundation that everyone can rely on. So that if we do build up a bit too hard and a bit too high and we come crashing down, we can still survive on a baseline. So we don't fear starvation and death just because we failed a business. The system incentivizes precarity. Burnout is framed as grit. Winners take all, and those who fall behind are blamed for it. There has to be another way. We as humans have done amazing things over the years. We have built pyramids. We have built structures. We have built governments. We have built ways of thinking. We have built religions. We have built an entire system to understand ourselves. But at the same time, the system that we have built to understand ourselves and our basic needs, that doesn't apply to our governments. Why is it like that? Our governments are running on old OS. If anything, think of it like this. Everything we have in the house is Windows 10. But the thing that we're running to ensure the entire house doesn't come crashing down on our heads is Windows Vista. It shouldn't be like that. In fact, it would make more sense if it was flipped. But Arcadia does answer that. Arcadia introduces a dual economy. where instead of relying on one economy that is supposed to provide for our basic needs and our luxuries at the same time, meaning either the luxuries get prioritized or the basic structure gets prioritized, either way, I believe it makes more sense to split that so that you have a basic survival requirement that is getting met, and you have a currency side where you can build whatever luxuries you choose. You should have the freedom that an economy offers you, but you should also have the stability another economy offers you. Arcadia is built around the simple idea that you should separate survival from ambition. In practice, it's done through two interlocking systems: the resource economy, which provides essential needs to every citizen like food, housing, healthcare, utilities. It's managed by the Foundation Corps and is universal, unconditional access. And then you have the currency economy, which is more optional with trade, innovation, higher education, luxuries, and it's managed by the Civic Concord. It rewards ambition, innovation, and leadership, and it's primarily driven by individual ambition. In Arcadia, survival is guaranteed. What you do beyond that is your choice. No citizen shall be denied food, shelter, energy, clean water, medical care, or legal defense. That is a direct quote from the Arcadian Constitution, Part 1, Section 1.2, the Dual Economy Principle, if you're interested in looking it up yourself. This isn't a reward. It's the starting point. Dignity isn't something to be earned. It should be protected from the beginning. Basic human dignity. That is one of the few things that separates humans from dolphins, humans from mammals, humans from monkeys. It's one of the few things that make us an advanced society, is our basic dignity. We should survive and have a baseline for our survival, or human dignity falls away and we're one step closer to returning to monkey. Might be good to some people, but most of us don't want to return to the Stone Age. And for the currency economy side of things, it's optional ambition, but you still have your protected dignity. You can strive or you can rest. You won't be punished either way. Ambition becomes a choice, not a requirement for survival. But it does bring up an interesting question. Is there ethics of this split? Is it fair if some people opt out? Does ambition still mean something if other people are getting what they need to survive? Yes, at least to me it makes sense. Some will ask, won't people coast? Won't this be abused? But Arcadia is not designed around coercion. It's designed around care, culture, and civic accountability. Equity reviews, feedback loops, and public forums keep the system adaptive, by design, evolutionary, meant to work and build and grow alongside the people instead of holding them back in old ways of thinking. Instead of forcing behavior, Arcadia creates systems that evolve with the people in them. No top-down paternalism, just structure that listens, adapts, and respects. In practice, accountability through design, not punishment. One thing that comes to mind is Arcadia's judicial system, or punitive system. You do a crime, you pay the time. But that time is not just you sitting in a cell and thinking about your life choices on your own. It's people come in and they try to help you through it and try to rehabilitate you. Arcadia's punitive system is meant to rehabilitate people back into the regular rhythms of society, instead of forcing them to constantly remain in the system for the rest of their lives because they can't handle life outside because they've become so conditioned to not understand how things are on the outside. My intent for Arcadia is that no one should have to struggle to breathe in a world of abundance, where there's food being thrown out into the garbage, yet there's people miles away who are starving because they don't have enough food. Or There's houses that are wonderful houses that are being left empty and that have been bought up by rich people just to drive up the prices of the houses to make their money last longer. That doesn't make sense, especially when there's people out there that are desperately in need of housing. No one should have to struggle to breathe in a world of abundance. This is about building the world I wish existed. A place where safety isn't conditional, where survival isn't bartered, where people can breathe without requiring everyone else's goodwill just to live. The system should be there to benefit everyone and ensure everyone gets the bare necessities of survival. And building up your life beyond that point should be up to you. I do have one question for you, though. What would success without survival anxiety look like? What would you try if you could afford to fail? Would you try and build that business you were thinking of? Would you try to make the world a better place in one way or another? When the floor is solid, people don't stop trying. They start creating. They start innovating. They start thinking up new ways to do things. Everyone wants to do things with their life. Most people don't want to just sit in a basement and do absolutely nothing with their lives. And even if they do want to do that, give them a year, give them 2 years, hell, give them 3 years, and they would slowly come to realize they are just or even more miserable than they were when they started that. Because they don't actually want to just slowly waste away into nothingness. They want to make their lives better. They want to have purpose. At least, that's what I think. Of course, you could have differing views on this, and I wholly welcome your thoughts in the comments. Community as a platform, not a cage. We all build up the floor. You choose your skyline. Arcadia doesn't trap you, it holds you up. Everyone builds the foundation that we all stand on. And if you want to build higher and higher into the sky, you can afford to do so. And if your giant, amazing tower suddenly comes crumbling to the ground because you ignored a few steps or forgot a few things, or maybe you just had bad luck and things come crashing back down, you're down on the solid floor that we all built together. You can survive down here. And you can decide to build back up to your golden tower, a new one, entirely on your own, if you so desire. It's up to you. This is civic respect, not civic pressure. No gates, no walls, just real choice, real agency. Freedom isn't a reward, it's the starting point. Everyone is born free, but their environment and the people around them and the events around them slowly shackle them down to a way of thinking and a way of living. Everyone needs to decide what they want for their lives, and everyone should be able to decide if they want to continue this way of life or choose a different one. Everyone should be able to afford to change because life is all about change. Life is change whether you like it or not. And you should work with that change instead of fighting it. Because even if you fight the change, you will eventually change in response to the change. Here's another question for you. What would you do if you couldn't fall below the baseline? If you could afford to decide one day to jump up off your ivory tower and fall all the way down to the ground and decide to build a new ivory tower and let other people move into the old system you built. If you wanted to do that, you could do that. What would you do? When fear leaves the system, creativity enters. People teach, invent, mentor, and grow. Ray Bradbury once said, "We are cups, constantly and quietly being filled. The trick is knowing how to tip ourselves over and let the beautiful stuff out." And it's up to you who you want to have that beautiful stuff that you hold inside you. That sounds weird. I'm going to move on. A day in Arcadian life. A day here has rhythm. Morning meals come in common spaces. Afternoons spent creating, repairing, learning. Evenings of rest, music, story, and community. And if you decide, maybe that would be nice to have, you can go on CivicNet, propose an idea. And if that idea gains enough traction and enough people vote on the idea, boom, that idea becomes law. That idea becomes real. I think that old school that's going to be torn down in 3 months, it would do great as a park. And then they decide, that's a good idea. Everyone votes, and that becomes true. A few years later, a beautiful park is sitting there, and your name is on a plaque. Of course, there's a QR code, and they can all see who voted on it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that everyone benefits from. And it all came from your idea. Ideas made reality. And you can go to sleep knowing you mattered. To be fair, Arcadia would still face a couple of challenges. Every system comes with its own challenges. Because Arcadia isn't perfect. It's alive. We would wrestle with disagreements, ambition gaps, and inertia. But peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the ability to manage it constructively. Just like Ronald Reagan once said, peace is not the absence of conflict, it is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. And it's all up to us to decide what those means actually, mean. Why does this model, Arcadia, matter now? To me, crisis isn't coming. It's already here. People are breaking inside systems that were never meant to survive. This isn't idealism, it's necessity. We need to get better systems that work in the world we actually live in. The systems we have were built for an age long past. People back then had no concept of what the life we face today would be like. The founding fathers, when they wrote the Second Amendment, had zero idea about cruise missiles, tanks, drones, and UAVs. Although that's technically also a drone. They had no idea about these things. This system, Arcadia, would be transparent enough to see who actually is in charge and let you have the power that you were promised. At the core, Arcadia is not about policy. It's about people. We protect the ones we love, the ones still finding themselves, and the ones not yet born. We are building a legacy for everyone, for the future, and maybe even for the past if we want to hold on to traditional values. I will once again re-engage my intent. No one should have to struggle to breathe in a world of abundance. I'm not doing this to win. I'm doing this so others don't have to lose just to survive. Arcadia is the floor I want to leave behind. I want to build a world that people are happy to have children again. I want to build a world that all of us can feel proud of and know that our voices mattered. If you'd like to, please continue the conversation. What would you build on a guaranteed foundation? Next week, I'm going to be making a video talking about what the Arcadian transition could actually look like. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe to follow the journey and promote it to others. Please comment down below. I read and respond to everything. And if you'd like to learn more on your own time, please check out Arcadia Explained, the AI chatbot I made to explain the Arcadian Constitution in easy-to-understand words. I thank you for your time and presence in this video, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.